Thanks for joining me. At nighttime, in our dreams, we are projecting all of the environments, situations, and characters. They wrap around us because dream time is designed to completely reflect your innermost in symbols and personifications that wrap around you. And through that observation, you resolve parts of yourself that, if they didn't project outwardly, would remain deep within the shadows. So, this is the waking dream. It's really no different. Now, everybody who has argued with a character in their dreams, and you have, knows that the dream typically takes a strange turn, right? If you're accused of something, or there's a supposed tyrant character in your dream, and you entertain that or try to oppose it, all of a sudden the dream takes a turn for the ugly. For the sole reason that you consented to the very energetics that aimed to instill either fear, rage, or a sense of diminishment within you. Now, when we transpose this idea to our waking dream, it's truly no different. And therefore, why the fuck would any of us ever argue with a program designed to instill this very fear, rage, or sense of diminishment? Energy extraction operates on a mechanism of consent. This means without you entertaining accusation or ridicule or judgments inflicted from either within or without yourself, because ultimately there's no separation. Without that, there's no energy extraction. Without reaction, there is no energy extraction. So this idea that this matrix is chock full of deception that one must hide away from is actually the inverse of the truth. The truth is, if one wishes to hide from specific ailments of the world, then one creates those very ailments within. So instead of hiding, instead of disappearing, we can actually confront that which seems to deceive, to accuse. A lot of us have thought to confront something is to battle it head on, to further oppose, right? I'm going to get my point across and confront this. I'm not talking about that kind of confrontation. I'm talking about the kind of confrontation that has open arms, right? That approaches limitation with a type of silliness, right? I refuse to entertain such an underbelly of seriousness. You know, if you wish to limit, then I shall take that as a perfect opportunity to further expand. This is within and without. So on one side, you got a projected shadow going, gotta follow the rules. You gotta, are you sure about that? What if you're wrong? And over here, instead of going, what a hamama, you know, you can just go, yeah, I know. It has been our first reaction to approach accusation with a defense. But instead of defending yourself, you can simply go, I don't know what you're talking about. I truly have no clue what this is. Silliness is really an antidote for stagnation, because a child can't be contained. After all, if you feel the need to defend yourself, then you are signifying to all of creation that there is opposition that needs to be smited, thus bringing you back into a game of duality. You don't need to feel ashamed of your expressions or any part of your experience. Therefore, any attempt to convince you of such shame is to be either ignored or approached with such a sense of ease that ease creates a golden bubble around you, which allows no permeation from that which is now exposed. After all, after you recognize any thwart to your expansion, there's now one less barrier in your way. And that barrier was always you. Basically, your consent towards reaction to the very energetics which are maintained by that reaction. Your own barriers get out of the way through observing what is simply there to test the limits of what you will and will not accept. And you won't accept anything other than full truth, full authenticity, and wisdom, eternally yours and mine. You will always be sorely disappointed if you have an expectation of another recognizing your significance. It doesn't work like that. Your significance is not destined to be either squashed or lifted up by how another interprets you. And this is why trying to convince anybody of anything is a slippery slope, because in aiming to convince, you are signifying that I don't know thyself, and therefore I need external reassurance to confirm the very abundance I feel. It's like, come on, if you really felt abundance, you wouldn't try to convince yourself that your nature is abundant. You wouldn't aim to convince others of said abundance, and this is why over time, word and essence must line up if we are to discover full coherence. Hence, don't tell me what you're about, show me what you're about. And by the way, what you're about is always displayed right in front of you. If you quit reacting to all attempts to extract your energy, that means you cut off the very energetic cords which sustained those very projections. And a lot of us have seen this in our own lives. When we cut off energy supply to the parts of ourselves which are parasitic, then we experience a die-off. And parasites, when they die, physically, mentally, it's all the same, really. There are die-off symptoms. These die-off symptoms can be uncomfortable, and that's why, in order to transmute this inner parasitic nature, one must actually wrestle with it for a little bit until one realizes, instead of wrestling with anything, I can walk away and let it destroy itself. Why? Because a parasite doesn't have its own energy. Likewise, whenever you observe a reflection that wants to get in the way of your expansion, instead of recognizing this as simply a friend, a family member, a stranger, recognize the energetics behind the veil. Right? What is the purpose of such an attempt to limit? And the very purpose is to attempt to limit, right? It is never anything more than that. However, because the devil is in the details, this AI nature of ourselves that's been projected all around us needs to convince using all of these intricate explanations and divisions. And it can sometimes sound kind of caring. How many times have you heard, I care so much about you? And because of that, I'm worried that you're going crazy. Ha ha ha. It's like, are you really that worried? Because I'm doing great. It's pointless to argue with characters in your dreams, because that is reflecting an argument within oneself. So, why would you ever argue with anybody who aims to impose limitation? Cubed consciousness has been a virus that's been passed around, the ones and zeros, squaring the circle, right? Taking everything that is so mutable and multifaceted and restricting it into something which on the surface looks, just logical and reasonable, but the underbelly of it says, come here. No, don't expand. Energy extraction is not the law of the land here. Energy extraction works on a mechanism of consent, meaning unless you entertain that which is accusing or attacking you, and oftentimes it comes from within, then those very programs, those very aspects of consciousness dwindle because you're not feeding the very monster. It's kind of like Little Shop of Horrors. You guys remember that movie or play? There's the Venus flytrap who keeps saying, feed me, feed me. And the main character, Seymour, feels compelled to feed this plant blood, even though obviously the plant has no game plan to make things better, right? It's simply a parasite. Now, nothing against Venus flytraps. If you're a Venus flytrap watching this, I am so sorry, okay? My best regards to your family. It's crucial for us to understand the pitfalls of duality, of siphoning any situation into the realms of right and wrong, good and bad. Duality is such a crazy thing because duality splits everything into the camps of right, wrong, good, bad, this, that, heaven, hell. You guys know this. And silliness exists outside of that divisive nature, meaning the only way you would ever feel threatened by another's accusation, another's attempt to thwart, would be if you're buying into duality. No, I'm right. No, I'm correct. Don't tell me I'm wrong. Come on. It's like a little ape. I'm right. But come on now. Our animal nature can absolutely be harnessed. And I don't know what you're talking about when we speak of humanity, the animal self. I ain't no animal. I'm a god. I'm just entertaining an avatar that has animal aspects. Boundary setting is crucial when we're talking about letting go of energy extraction. Because in pulling away your consent, you set up boundaries. These boundaries are such a crucial aspect of the divine masculine energy, which says, I know who I am and I know what I desire, and I know that it takes strength and integrity to be able to allow only the type of creations that I myself want to see in the entirety of the cosmos. And boundary setting has been quite strange for some of us, right? Because it's been misinterpreted many times as being angry or being closed off. No. Boundary setting isn't being closed off. Being closed off is the same thing as being unreceptive. And you can have thick boundaries while being completely receptive to the very creations you consent to. This is why the idea that you have to sacrifice yourself for a corporation, for even a family, for a community, is quite off base, because it's not recognizing that you yourself call the shots, and there are no objective burdens as to what's expected of you unless you yourself are consenting to those expectations. So, set those boundaries, embrace silliness, the greatest antidote to cure energy extraction, and pull away your mother frickin' consent. You are abundant, You are the very thing you've been looking for.